Hello, everyone. It is an amazing day in Bogota, Colombia, and you are going to listen to Angie, Geraldine, Milena, and Paula talking about an important topic why you are on the commodity of your couch. This is gender and sexual orientation around the world. So grab your fries and coke and let's listen to a catching podcast.
The next podcast is going to be about sexual orientation and gender identity. It focuses on several types of gender that exist, describing each gender and what it's about, including the problems what exist in society with respect to this issue and how society reacts to it. You will find information about how sociolinguistics emphasize different situations in the community according to the media and social networks. Also, we will show how the media has a great influence. Science really shapes the world to our perceptions and thought about sexual orientation and gender identity.
Now that we welcome you, you are comfortable, and you already know what topic is going to be covered in this discussion, it is important that you know the reason that encouraged us to choose this interesting topic. So the question is, what are the reasons behind the selection of a topic like sexual orientation and gender identity? So let's start. First for all, we think this topic is being discussed in many parts of the world. So this is our first reason to investigate a problem which has been spread by people and seems to have a great influence in society. Secondly, thanks to new generations, we realize that people are letting this taboo behind because now this is more normal than before. And now everyone wants to represent their identity no matter what. But despite that, this topic creates discrimination, which can affect the life of people who regret to express themselves because of intolerance produced by expressing their sexuality. So we want to analyze more about it.
Now, we are going to discuss about what people are focused on regarding this topic. So, people are focusing on gender, the human rights of each person, and mainly on gender discrimination. Another aspect is the difference between gender and sex, or people who belong to the LGBTI community in how they are affected and discriminated against because of their sexual preference or physical appearance, and this called affect mental health.
Now we are going to listen some important information. When years passed, people started focusing more on sexual orientation and gender identity. So, according to science, we can find gender identity and gender expression. The first one is when the person has a sense of their identity, maybe the self, and the other one is how they define or present themselves with others. Similarly, according to some scientific research, the word presents discrimination and abuse against people who want to express their sexual orientation, as for example, in a study carried out in the New Jersey University, when especially young people or teenagers who belong or believe they belong to LGBTI community are victims of abuse, mistreatment, and rejection by their own friends, their own relatives, or work relationships. And protection for these people is almost non existent, and it causes them psychological distress, are victims of verbal, physical, sexual abuse during his childhood or adolescence, with experiences of depression, anxiety, traumatic stress, suicide attempts, and more. Where a great difference in privilege between an heterosexual person and a person who has a different sexual orientation to which he was born is evident. But there are also countries like the United States or Canada that protect LGBTI community from other countries like Asia, Africa, the Caribbean, Europe, Latin America, or the Middle East, when people feel part of the society as any other person.
With enshrining catalogs of human rights. which must be respected and guaranteed by the state for each individual subject to its jurisdictions. States are said to have a duty to prevent human rights violations and if they do occur, to adopt all necessary measures and procedures to investigate what happened, punish those responsible, and provide reparation of the affected victims. The purpose of the mechanism is to help ensure that international human rights standards are respected, implemented, and enforced effectively on the local level. The principle of non-discrimination is based on the international human rights protection system and is enshrined in the various international instruments as the character of the United Nations and the main human rights treaties. Indiscrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity provided under international law. Sexual orientation and gender identity, as well as other categories such as disability, age, and health status, are not expressly enshrined.
Now we are going to explain your methodology and the steps we took into account to analyze our topic. First of all, we are going to discuss how social networks are taking this topic and how people react to it in general. After, conclusions will be presented to make a comparison between social networks, politics, and communication media. Finally, we are going to make an analysis regarding the topics and conclusions. All of them will be highlighted to present the answer to the question how the media affects our perceptions of something, in that case, our thoughts regarding sexual orientation and gender identity. So, let's start with each step.
Then, let's go to social networks. We observe different types of social networks and how each person expresses himself of different social networks. In the case of Twitter, it is a very good social network since they give in confidence and most of them are teenagers and no adults who can react publications. People talk about their identify or sexual orientation. Science must have empathy and understand things. Now, I am going to talk about the social network of Facebook. This social network is more famous than the others. That is this one of people of different age. When they post about LGBTI, they see reactions that could see of support those of that community. But it's also seen in people between 13 and 17 years old. Those who take these posts as a joke. Regarding the social network Instagram, it was evidence that when a woman uploads photos in a bathing suite, in a body shape, also when two people of the same sex allow photos, but or kiss, they find disrespectful comments, but there is also the good side where you can request hashtags where people express their identify, leaving the taboo behind.
So let's go to the comparison of social networks, politics, and communication media. First of all, we have the conclusions we got with social networks, and we have discovered how young people express themselves to each other through the virtual world. In addition, people always react to what people post, and those reactions are not always with a good intention. So, social networks really influence the ideas of others and their reactions to the situation. Secondly, we can find the politics aspect. We got that 30 years ago, the World Health Organization eliminated homosexuality as a consequence of mental illness in people. It has also been known that religions cannot enter on these opinions. Finally, we have the communication media and how they are involved in this topic. So we know that Colombian media shares news related with homophobic behaviors and violent acts against people with a different sexuality which they were born. There is a story about the murder of Juliana Giraldo, a transgender woman in hands of a member of the army, and there are many stories about murders like that. But not everything that the media transmits about gender identity is case of intolerance. The Colombian media have also transmitted interviews about actors and others who have openly declared their gender identity to society. And finally, to show facts where what the media transmits are not violent events, news has been evidence such as the call of various political parties to the national government to protect the rights of the gay community. But it also shows that in Colombia, despite everything, the fight against gender discrimination continues.
Action still to confirm. It is very important to have an awareness of this issue and to know how to react correctly to those existing facts. Since most people have their traditional knowledge, that is to say that just as at home we are educated as we think. People in general don't have good behavior, gestures, and don't accept the forms or personalities of each person. The elderly or people of all don't accept homosexuals. They say it is a sin and therefore don't respect God. According to this, people must give respect to others regardless of their ideas or identities. We must give them friendship and help them understand that we all equal regardless of difference. In conclusion, it is in our hands to give a better quality of life to that group of people because we are all equal and don't deserve to be discriminated against. It is important to spread love and empathy to others and stop the privilege that is only for a small group of people.
As conclusions, we can find the fact that media around the world really affects our perceptions and thoughts regarding sexual orientation and gender identity. It is known that people influence others to discover information or to follow ideas which are being followed by an amount of people. So, people decide which side they want to follow. Those who support, those who are rude, or those who take these important social topics as a joke and spread disinformation of the reality.
Yes, Geraldine, you're right. And besides, social networks are a special way of communication, so many thoughts are being shared, giving good or bad consequences of the acts, posts, comments, and photos, even videos. So you can give support and empathy to others, or you can be disrespectful and share bad comments which are rude.
In addition, we can say that the media report news, but no is the entirety of reality. Science themselves don't benefit. There was also evidence that the politics is very important. In this moment, science tanto de some laws were created to defend those on movement rights.
Accept and respect them, or discriminate against their ideas. Media, social networks, and politics really influence the way we confront this situation, which has to be normal and not seen as our thing. We are here to support each other